Hello, world. Hello, humans. Welcome to my sixth live stream on this momentous occasion in history, the 40 something election of the President of the United States. We still do not have the results. More than a day, one day after the polls finished. It's currently 264 Biden to 214 Trump. But I've got something much more important to talk to you about than politics. It's my balls. Inside every man's balls are precious little seeds, little seedlings. And I will not be spilling any of them outside of my body this month because it's November. And last November, I guess the election was a big thing, but maybe it was probably 2 years ago where No Not November became this huge thing. And I remember one funny story from this. The Rolling Stone claimed that in an article that anyone who practices No Not November is an anti-Semite. I guess because, you know, the Semites own all the porn companies. Anyway, I will not let anyone stop me doing what's best for myself, which is to do this No Not November. So, and it's going to be pretty damn easy actually because I have friends. So, I made a Facebook group with 3 other young men. Let me read the name of this group. It's the most kick-ass name ever. Come on. How do I just see the whole name of this group here? This is so lame. Open in Messenger. Let's try that. In all caps. Spill not, brothers of precious seed. Yeah, so every day we, touch base with each other, how we're doing, if we did spill any seed or did not, and various techniques to reduce cravings. And then, of course, that's also generalized into just like cravings in general. So it's like, it's become kind of like a little like manly therapy group, which is pretty cool. It's been really easy for me, to be honest. I mean, it's only 4 days into November, but yeah, I've noticed like, because I don't really have material ambition anymore, like at all, like in any way. Like with this YouTube channel, with my job, with anything else, I really don't care about this material world. And I'm getting more and more detached as time goes on, especially because of this insanity of 2020, coronavirus, and now the election. I mean, I just don't care anymore. I don't want to be a part of this species anymore, of this world. Um, I'm not against this world either. I just really don't belong here anymore. Anywhere. So I'm just going through the motions. I'm still teaching every day. So this may not be the longest, this may be the shortest live stream I will do because I have to wake up at 5:30, 6 a.m. and it's getting cold here and it's not so fun. So I'm in my robes, my whatever pajama robes. Got this Vornado, nice and toasty. My oh my. Let's see if anyone is in the chat. Perhaps not yet. Oh. Oh, what? Oh, I also have an excerpt from my second book on Ethos. I will read. Would love to get some feedback on that, because at the moment, part of having no material ambition means I don't know if I'm completely wasting my time with the second book or not. So I'm going to read the first part of the first chapter, see if you guys like it, and if I should continue writing it. I know I can turn it into a good book and it'll be fine, just like the first book, but if no one's going to read it for the second book on Ethos, doesn't matter. It's not worth writing it then, because what I'm trying to do in the second book is like make the first book more approachable and acceptable. Is that a word? I guess readable to a larger audience who is, normally maybe a bit turned off by classical philosophy and ethics and these sorts of things. So the way I'm doing it is I'm writing it like a natural ethics, in the same way that Jordan Peterson's mythology, psychology stuff has been called a natural theology. I'm doing the same thing with ethics. And by that, I mean Aristotle has already done it more than 2,000 years ago. And that's the power of Ethos, is I'm not doing anything new. And if you follow this Ethos thing with me, you're not doing anything new either. It's tried and true and tested and the best of the best from the best thinker of all recorded history, right? So that's how dumb we are. If you think this 2020 stuff is so dumb, it's like, imagine this. The greatest teacher and thinker of all time literally wrote a book for how to make people happy and excellent in the easiest way possible, and nobody has taken it seriously for thousands of years. Like, philosophers just like put a category on it, like, oh, this is one theory of ethics, and then here's all these other theories of ethics, and then they never actually developed a system for doing it and implementing it in the world, which is madness. And Aristotle himself says in the Ethos, all philosophy is moot. All thinking is moot. Without action, it's a complete waste of time. Still no change in the election results. Oh my God. I'm so concerned. Oh, what if it's not my candidate? What if it's the other one? Ooh. I'm really tired. I'm really apathetic. I just want to go to sleep, to be honest. But I know our good friend J.A. should be arriving soon, as he has for all the other live streams. And he has really good questions, actually, and really good input, which makes this a lot better for me, personally. I know that, well, I don't post every live stream I do on my podcast site, but the ones I do, they get a ton more views and downloads on the podcast audio only sites than just on YouTube. But so far it seems like you guys have been liking these live streams. I'm guessing the main reason for that is honesty. Honesty is really rare. And hopefully you're smart enough to see that I'm just being honest with you and just sharing what's going on. And, another thing I'm going to work on. I'm actually now finally, I'm more excited to complete the Mythos series I started a long time ago than this second Ethos book. So if you go under my channel and you search Mythos 1.1, you'll see the first episode, which is about episode 1 in Star Wars on Anakin Skywalker. So I'm going to at least complete that series on Anakin. And I might even do it as a live stream because the amount of editing it took to do the first one was just like so extensive. And I don't think it's that important to do so much the video aspect of it. It's more the audio. The audio is kind of good enough. And I also, the benefit of when I make it um, accessible in the audio format is I can make it posted as a podcast, and I can have my own little trilogy on the rise and fall of Anakin. It's a classic tragedy. It's But the reason I'm doing Mythos is because this is one of the most fun and effective ways you can practice ethos in your life. Um, Practicing it in real life is the most difficult, of course, with real people, and that's where the most pressure is. But if instead you carefully study and examine the ethos of famous characters in movies like Anakin Skywalker, Harry Potter, etc., you can use it as a tool to study character and excellence and happiness. And you can see why it is that the good guys win against the bad guys, why they are excellent in character, why some people are better than others, and these sorts of things. It's just more fun with a fantasy mythology type setting as opposed to just pure philosophy, which I love, but narrative is really effective, and it's something that I definitely don't underestimate. This is how religion has worked really effectively for all of time, is actually mostly through mythos or narrative or myth or mythology, whether it's Native American culture or ancient Chinese culture or ancient Greeks or any of that stuff. There's always a personal, relatable, classic myth that people can easily share. That's what an oral tradition is. It's a myth that's shared orally from generation to generation. This is where the Vedas come from, which is obviously the crown jewel of all knowledge and truth. And I think mostly because it's the oldest by far, and it survived purely in an oral auditory sense, which is so funny. And it's another reason why I think it's so true, because look at the world now, or the podcasting world now, like the kind of numbers that like Joe Rogan is getting, and other podcasters, including myself, to be honest. Like, I don't have huge numbers, but for how little effort I put in, and I think it's really amazing. Spent $0 on advertising. I'm totally alone. I don't have a team. Like a lot of the media podcasts interviews that I see, there's like, people are putting a lot of financial resources into this and social resources, which I would like to, but I just don't have those resources at the moment. I really just need people. Which reminds me, if you like this stream and you want to see and hear more of it, let me know. Like, obviously, if you like it and comment on it and thumbs up and all that stuff and share, that'll be good for the algorithms. But I personally don't care at all. I just want to be of service to others. So, and it's really strange. I have like hundreds of people every month from all over the world, mostly the Western world, who listen and download these shows and stuff that I do. And a lot of times I don't even know their name. They don't comment. The only regular comments I get that I can count on are spam comments, like, sexygirl.com, buy now, you buy now. And yeah, hoping for some more personal relations with my subscribers. Well, let's go back to No Nut November. So, for me, where I draw the line in the sand when it comes to my own character and happiness is addiction. So as long as I'm not addicted to anything, I'm cool. I don't really care about it. If I can do it in moderation and it's dangerous, I don't really care. Have a drink, have a smoke, look at porn for a little while. Like, I just don't care. Um, there's a lot of people, especially on the far right, who say, oh, porn is this horrible, evil thing and we have to abstain completely from it. Like, I agree, it really is bad. But what's really powerful and what I like about where I'm at now is, like, I'll actually look at porn for like a few minutes and I'll be grossed out and I just won't look at it anymore. And to me, that's better than abstaining completely, especially when you're abstaining from a place of like shame or guilt. So, like, imagine this: you have shame or guilt in doing some vice like porn or drugs or whatever. And then after you do it, you get your little pleasure, dopamine, serotonin boost, whatever. And then you feel shame and guilt afterwards. And then you kind of use that shame and guilt to abstain from it. And then while you're in the process of abstaining and temptation comes back in, you have to bring the shame back again to keep the abstinence going. And I freaking hate that. I don't want to do that ever in my life. I think it's not clean. It's psychologically and spiritually it's just impure. It sinful technically. Like, it will come out in other areas of your life in a negative way that you wouldn't like, as opposed to what I'm doing now, which is just what I've been doing for years, which is just brutal honesty with yourself and doing the best you can with what you have and where you are in this moment. So when it comes to No Nut November, I'm really excited to make a vow to not spill my seed for 30 days. And I'll be able to do that. And it might be a little bit of a challenge, but that's totally within my realm. But if I were to say to myself, I will not look at a single pornographic image for 30 days, that might actually be impossible, because what if I'm walking down the street and I see like a Victoria's Secret store or like a billboard with a chick with a bikini on it? That's technically porn. Sorry, but it is. Like, porn is now like so many other vices. It's become commonplace in many societies now. Like, for example, in China and the other Asian nations where I've been living in, porn is illegal and it's blocked. You either can't get to it or you need a VPN to see porn, and they're pretty serious about that. And there's serious penalties for participating in it or even viewing it. But meanwhile, you can see porn, dirty pictures just everywhere. Sometimes billboards and all this stuff. And so, sure, like, HD triple X rated video is worse than a lady in a bikini, but it's the same thing psychologically and spiritually. Essentially, it's identical. It's sense gratification, and it's the most powerful kind of sense gratification, which enslaves us most of all into Maya, into this material world of illusion. So actually, No Nut November is something that I'd like to continue forever, basically. Here's something I'm going to share. I found a doppelganger. Someone recently shared this picture of a Babaji in Bengal, India, and I went, holy God, he looks just like me. It's not the first time this happened either. Here it is. Can I zoom in? Yeah. So there you go. That's me. Maybe not my soul, maybe a kindred soul in a similar body. He doesn't he look like me? He may look more like my father than me, but it's happened a few times where I've seen some doppelgangers, some men and women too who look exactly like me, and people on my father's side of my family who are totally Indian. And as far as I know, I don't have any Indian blood at all. Maybe, tiny bit, but I'm, mostly Italian and Eastern European, Lithuanian. And yet somehow this facial structure I see sometimes. I've taken this as a big sign that, the the fortune that I have for coming to Krishna consciousness and being as liberated as I am from the material world, if I'm not using this to help others, get to this stage, I mean, it's like I don't know why else I'm here. It must be the main reason I'm here. Of course, it's also really difficult, and I'm struggling with that at all. My my family, my good friends from high school, so many people in this world, they are so broken and degraded and fallen as souls. Like, you say one thing about abortion or whatever else, it triggers them and they go into this, emotional temper tantrum, and it's like, you got to sort that shit out. You have to have the maturity to handle these sorts of things. And even then, like going to the spiritual stuff, it's still really difficult. But like, you've got to really sort out level 1 first, and then you go to level 2, and then you go to level 3. And most people I meet in especially Anglo-Saxon, rich white people nations are seriously demoralized and degraded to the point where many of my kindergarten students in China are actually more mature than some people my parents' age. And I don't know how to deal with this. I mean, when it comes to strangers, I just ignore them. As soon as I see they're one of these kinds of people, or subhuman technically, I just say goodbye. I'll see you later. I'm not going to talk to you again ever. And I will actively keep it that way as best as I can. Neato. Well, maybe JA isn't coming, and I'm friggin' tired, guys. I'm so tired. Still no change in the election. I think it's a complete fraud. Regardless of who wins this U.S. election, it's fraud. At the highest level in this culture, in government and corporate world, it's all fraud. Fraud is the rule, not the exception. And then you have the opposite thing happening at the low level where, a small little misdemeanor speeding ticket is rigidly enforced. And so corruption in that sense and fraud and other things, it's actually exceptional. Most people on the bottom are doing okay, doing fine, especially considering how horrible things they are. They're doing really well. But, by my standards, they're maybe not doing so well. But it's typically, I guess it's kind of a very mild corruption. moral, cultural corruption I'm talking about. So I've been in America for about 3 months now, and this is my third time coming back to the States after my one-way ticket to Asia that I purchased in 2014. And I'm still excited to go back to Asia, especially Taiwan. That's my plan. But it's really funny. This is the first time I've come back to America, and I actually kind of like it here. I'm not particularly bothered. People haven't been starting fights with me, which did happen before. Just it's unbelievable how vicious some people can be. Just riding my bike around the neighborhood, and they're like, "Excuse me, sir, what are you doing here? Don't you know this is a neighborhood and you're not allowed here?" And it's like, dude, first of all, I live here. Second of all, we're both white people. Like, what grounds are you even talking about? Like, I could see how if I was like a smoking with cigarettes kind of hood rat guy in a very fancy posh kind of neighborhood, how I wouldn't belong there and people might be surprised and talk to me. But this near my hometown where I grew up, just riding my bike around a street is like triggered someone. And she is some boomer, and she came over and yelled at me. And after that, I called the police, and I said, could I press charges for harassment and ruining the peace? And they were kind of like, "Hey, yeah, you could." And I was like, "Well, I will. The next time this happens, I will, because it's completely inappropriate and unjust and vicious." And for years now, this is how I've seen many people in this demographic, namely North American, white, middle class, suburban, especially multi-generational families, as opposed to like some Polish immigrant who's right off the boat and can't even speak English, but he's technically American. Dude, that guy's not American. He's so different that he's not in the same group. He's not a white person. He's a Pole. He's not an American. He's a Pole. And I don't know anything about Poles, so I can't really say. But I did do some coaching work with a fellow coach from Poland. He seemed pretty cool. But beyond that, I don't know. Okay, maybe JA isn't coming after all, so I'll be leaving soon. But first, I will read from... there it is. My book. The second book, which I'll probably finish eventually, maybe not very soon, but the working title is Ethos Growing, Cultivating Complete Happiness and Excellence. So here is chapter 1. We can read chapter 1 together. And oh, that's weird. It's freaking out. Oh, that's why. The overlay. So I'm just going to read the first part of chapter 1 to give y'all a taste of what it is. And if you want to be anything useful or beneficial to me at all, please just give me some feedback on this. Let me know if you like it or don't like it, want more of it, want less of it, want something different, whatever. Just hit me up. Just write a comment. All right, chapter 1. The basis and outline of human life. We are born violently, kicking and screaming as we reluctantly leave the womb, thrust into a foreign world, surrounded by objects, creatures, and environments that we seem to instinctively understand, but not at all consciously. We can walk, but have to learn how to. We can speak, but only gain this ability after making many mistakes and being encouraged by others. If there is no community to raise us immediately after we leave the womb, We will surely die, even when surrounded by food and water. It seems we truly do not belong here on this planet. We don't belong here because our essential nature and instincts are too excellent for this planet. Our real home is, quote, heaven, unquote. Heaven is not a place in the way that this planet is a place. Heaven is the source of our being. We came from heaven and we belong there. That's why we hanker to go back with a quiet desperation. Stuck and imprisoned we are in limited bodies on a planet that has its own limited lifespan. We find ourselves in a world where we can use our intelligence and willpower to dominate every other creature and even the environment itself, and yet simultaneously, this world always seems foreign. We have legs that are built just for walking, but we can't exactly walk. We have to learn from scratch. From this fact, we can infer a lot about this world and our place in it. We all benefit from walking and agree it is a good skill to have. Therefore, the sooner we learn to walk, the better. Those of us who never learn to walk or cannot walk because of disability are considered handicapped compared to the general population. Of course, we can still have a happy life in a chair, but it's also true that those of us who know how to walk can also sit in a chair and choose not to walk. Within this one particular example, we can start to see a hierarchy of value emerge. At the bottom of this hierarchy, we can imagine a child who never learns to walk or is unable to walk. At the top of this hierarchy, we see a child who can walk very well and learned at the youngest possible age. From this example and all other examples that pertain to our limited world here on this planet, we see that among a set of goods, one will be highest and one will be lowest. So there's the first foot mark, which goes to Ethos 111, chapter 1, verse 1, first sentence. So that's another reason how I'm structuring this book is it's like it should read just kind of like a book, just like you can just read all the way through it. But I am referencing the first Ethos book throughout the text. And it is supposed to be used as a companion. Or you can if you like. Like you don't need to. You don't need the first Ethos book to read this and benefit from it. But there's the added benefit where if you've read the first Ethos book and you're struggling on figuring out the context of it or how to use it more, I'm giving you some references here within a narrative, basically. Continuing. In light of our search for heaven, we can posit that all goods that are not heaven itself are subordinate to heaven. Everything that is not the best thing must be less valuable than that best thing. After years of study and experience, we may be able to see the ladder of all those subservient goods by which we can climb to the top. I'm going to stop there. And now I'm parched, and I'm so freaking tired, I'm ready to go to sleep. So we're about done. Let's check the election results again. Nothing there. Nothing there. Facebook. Okay, then. Okay. I heard Joe Rogan say recently that so he justifies or explains masturbation by saying that when it's like when you're hungry, when you're so hungry and you can't think straight, you need to have a meal and then you can get back to thinking correctly. And likewise, when you retain too much semen and you get too horny, you just can't fucking think straight. So sometimes a quick little mass ejaculation will clear the mind and bring you back to some sort of sobriety. I've experienced that, so I know there's some truth in there, but I also know about natural law, and natural law states that we really should not be just ejaculating randomly. Animals don't do that. They when they're inside someone and they're, procreating, reproducing, that's when ejaculation comes, because that's its purpose. That's why it's there. And I've also read in the Vedic texts that, and this is, of course, common sense, semen, or what we call the vital fluids, are literally the most essential cells in the organism that are concentrated and distilled into this one fluid. It's like more precious than blood or plasma or whatever. It's our life force. It's the distillate of our life force. So when you don't spill it out, when you keep it inside you, your body has a mechanism for recycling it, because otherwise, your balls will just grow huge and fall off. So because that doesn't happen, it means the body does have within it a natural way to retain it, that energy, recycle it, refine it even more, give more energy, and so on. And I like this stuff. I think it's like I said, it's very natural, common sense sort of thing. And so there's a health benefits for No Nut November. I'm already noticing it now. Like I finished my japa, my mantra meditation, a little bit earlier in the day now, as opposed to getting carried away with thoughts on Instagram and whatever else. But ultimately now it's not really. I made a vow. I made a decision to do this for 1 month, knowing I could easily do it for more than 1 month, even the rest of my life if I really wanted to and needed to. But it's just a decision that's well formulated, meaning it's 1 month only, and it's not, too crazy where it's like I won't even look at a woman in a lustful way at all, period, which is the correct path for a spiritualist, but it's just too difficult for me. It's not even difficult, it's impossible at this point. But to say that I won't, that while I may look at someone or something, but not something that's funny, like a doll or something. No, but at least promising I won't spill any seed. It's perfect. I can do that, and I have the accountability of my friends, and they have my accountability as well. So I'm thinking this will be pretty damn easy, actually. And at the end of it, I'll get a supercharge of motivation, which will generalize into other areas of my life. On that note, wish you all a good day, good night, good morning, wherever you are. And I cannot wait to go to sleep. Just remember, politics doesn't matter. It's all part of Maya, this illusory, temporary, material world. It does not matter. Just forget about it, regardless of who wins or loses. When our character is great, we have nothing to worry about, and we are happy in a solid, fundamental way. That is ethos. Speaking of ethos, my good friend sent me a really nice message about that, confirming that. He says, laws should be secondary, not primary. Laws are the last resort. Excellence of character should be our first. This is true. Anyway, good night, good morning, goodbye.